This video here is designed for people who may not be comfortable just getting started and going through exporting all of the blend shapes. In the previous video I showed how to set it up, but there is a little bit of a process here to follow through, so you could skip this video if you wanted to, it's optional, but it's probably worth watching me go through making sure that you do all the steps properly. And I'm going to go through and do some of these blend shapes, exporting them out in the left and the right hand side versions, but we won't do all of them. I'm going to do a lot of it off camera as well. So when you first start up here, I'm back to my original default head. I haven't set anything up here that I did in the last video yet. So what we're going to do is, first thing I'm going to start out doing is setting my morph target. And if I come down here to subdivision level 3, I go in, find my morph target options, store morph target. Now if I save the file, this morph target is going to get saved with it. So if I open up the file later on, I don't need to go in and store the morph target again. And I don't need to store the morph target every time I export out a blend shape or change a blend shape. It will get saved, and it does actually get saved into the file itself, which is kind of nice. The other thing I need to do is to come in and let's go in and import in that gradient that I had created. So that was in my textures and blend shape gradient. There we go. Okay, cool. So we got that information in. So we're going to go to our layers menu, and we're just going to work our way down. Now I've already exported out the asymmetrical detail in a previous video, so the first one I'm going to go to is the eyebrow raiser. Now in order to get that activated, I need to get back up to my topmost subdivision level. So I'm just going to turn that up there, and I'm going to turn this on. So we'll say record. Alright, and we're going to bring this back down to level 3. And just as we did in the previous video, we'll mask by alpha. And oops, so here we go. Here's one of the things I didn't do. Alright, I didn't bring in the geometry that I had created that had the custom UV map to match up my gradient. So obviously that's not going to work very well. So I'm just going to hold down Control and click and drag in the negative space there to get rid of that mask. And what I'm going to do is pop back up here just to my top level and turn off this layer and turn off recording. So that's another one of the things. See, even I got caught there. And when I import in this geometry here with this custom UV map, I don't want it to override the current UV map that I have. I want this only to be used for the purposes of exporting these blend shapes. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to pop back down to level 1 because I created the custom UV map on this guy at this subdivision level here, the lowest one. And we're going to go in and we're going to import that in, and we will find it in my data folder. And that's what it is right here. I labeled it properly, gradient. Now obviously the head hasn't changed, but if I pop back up to level 7 here, just because I've gone through and I've done this, I want to make sure that I save this out. So in case for whatever reason ZBrush crashes or whatever, I don't want to have to go through and remember to do all this again. So we're just going to go ahead and say File, Save As, and I'll save it as version 31. Now later on I might actually just delete 31 because its only reason for existing is to create these blend shapes, or to export these blend shapes. But this is just in case, and I've noticed that as I go through this process, it does chew up a lot of RAM, and ZBrush can become a little bit unstable. So, alright, we're just going to go back and do what we'd done before. So we're going to go to Eyebrow Raiser, and we're going to turn on the record for that. And then we're going to bring everything back down to level 3. And now we're going to mask by alpha, and now that's working properly. So that's exactly what I want. And we're going to go ahead and we'll go into our morph target, and hopefully this will work. So we're going to go type in 100 here, and perfect. So we get that nice fall off, and we will export this out to match the name that we had, which was eyebrow raiser. So we'll export, and we're going to go into our blend shapes, and we'll call this, we're going to keep the same number on this, the same version number, which was 30 originally, as the rest of these. I'm just going to call this eyebrow raiser, and it's the left-hand side of the head. There we go. And we'll undo and work our way backwards as everything processes itself in the background there. And we will flip over the mask by hitting Control and clicking in the negative space here, and running our morph again. Morph Target. Type in 100. All right, and we'll export that one out. So that is eyebrow razor right. There we go. Now, we'll get rid of that mask. And since I'm not worried about saving anything, like not worried about actually having to save my changes in here anymore, when I go back to the layers menu, I don't necessarily need to worry about getting back to having the eyebrows on both sides of the face here. So I'm just going to pop back up to level 7 here. And what's really important is not only do we need to turn off the recording on the layers, so I'm going to do that, but I also need to turn off the visibility of the layer after I turn off the recording. So make sure that I turn that off, because I don't want this layer to be visible when I pop down to my next layer. So the next layer is eyebrow lowerer. That's a fun word to try to say. Now we're going to pop down to level 3 again, and we're just going to continue this process. So we get that side, go to our morph target, pop to 100. We'll export it out. And this is eyebrow lowerer. Left. And once again, we'll just undo, reverse, and type that in and export. All right, so eyebrow lowerer right. Okay. And so the process remains the same as we work our way down the face here. So if I go back up to level 7 here, go to my layers again, as soon as that calculates, and turn off record, turn off the visibility, and move down to the next layer. All right, so I'm not necessarily going to do all of this in this video here, because that's quite a few blend shapes, and you don't necessarily need to see me do the same process over and over and over again. But this gradient should work for you all the way down. And we tested it especially on the lips, right? And we saw that we got good results there. Now there are 2 shapes to be aware of that you are going to have to do differently. The first is jaw open, right? So if I pop this off, or turn that off rather, and I open up the jaw, because my jaw open is actually a blend shape, I don't have left and right versions for this, and ignore the fact that the teeth didn't come down. It's just the interior of the jaw opening up right now. You can't really open up your jaw unless you have like this weird hinge to your jaw, which I don't think anybody actually has. You can't open up your jaw on one side versus the other, so you just need to do a single export here. And other than that, the only other one to be aware of is the mouth scrunch. Right, so mouth scrunch left. This one here, I've only modeled the left-hand side, you'll notice. I don't have a version for the right-hand side. So I'm going to show this in another video, in the following video. But basically, we're only going to export out this side. We're not going to do any kind of gradient export on this. And we are going to create the right-hand side using a trick in Maya. So I will see you in the next video for that.